Welcome to Trading Lounge and the indices, and starting with the S&P here on the weekly chart. This has been my main count, and I know there's variations of this whole move to the upside here, and we're going to have a look at a variation shortly. And yeah, our main focus has really been on this particular trend coming up through here to primary wave 3 up here. So the way that I've been counting up here has been pretty sort of ambitious and looking for higher ground. So let's just go from the weekly to the daily, and then I'm going to have a look at an alternative count on 2 days. Now, there's nothing special about 2 days. It just gives me a clean canvas to work on. So from this wave 4 here, we're looking at 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. Now, quite often these sorts of things as 1 and 2s don't sort of pan out, and we end up with a top in play. So we need to not stick our head in the sand. We need to have a look at, well, if this was, this trend here is what is this length, and this one's probably a bit smaller, and then this one here is smaller again. So in a way, it could be slowing down rather than speeding up. So these are the things that we need to look at, both sides of the market. And what we had been looking for was, wave 1 and wave 2 to play out here. So I will just finish this off, and I think it's on this one here, this intraday chart here, and we're looking at as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So I believe that we could have a possible low in place here, because stocks like Nvidia here, for example, that have been in a correction for a little bit longer, have got an A and a B and 1 and 2, and a nice third wave down here. I won't go into all the details and wait. So I'm thinking about a low being in place for this market, and this this is a little bit different from some of the other markets, but the other markets are not that far behind. They've all got their own little idiosyncrasies and so on. So I'll just see how this plays out here, and if this is correct, then we'll see a move to the upside from this low here. Yeah, so it's simple as that, really. Probably need to have a closer look at this situation as well. I'll just use this chart here that's floating here. It's not labeled, but basically this little move here is this move coming off the low here. And you can kind of see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, right? So we're looking at this here. I just want to have a look for myself. We've got obviously 1 and 2 here. We've got 1 and 2 here. This is all the third. It's really giving me a bit of an A and a B and a C to this point, unless I look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then building up for wave 5. Now, this particular moving up here, like all trends, they've got a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the beginning is the building process, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and yeah, a bit messy here, but 1 and 2, 1 and... So these are a whole series of 1, and now it's starting to stretch out into that third wave here, So there'll be 4, 5 here. So what I could probably suggest, if I could just finish this off here for the intraday traders, is that this is likely to give us, I'll just go from this area here, and I'll just give it real basic, but 1 and 2 in here, and it'll be 3, 4, and 5 in here. So it'll give us something like this. Now, if you know the trading levels, you know they're at the midpoint here, and after 5 is the number 8, and when we talk about 8, we talk about group 2, so the 65 number. So basically this is all a group 2 here. So this would be the long trade here. And what this would do here, this would also, because we're looking at 5 waves in this structure here, it would also take us away from the possibility of this being an A, B, C for the A wave here, the B wave here, and the C wave here. So going long above that top there would negate any corrective pattern to come further down at that point. Okay, so yeah, that's important. We'll have a look at a bigger bearish picture with the NASDAQ, I think. So the other count here, instead of having 1s and 2s and 1s and 2s here, in case this is a bit of a top here, then I was looking at this count, and I have to thank folks, Trading Lounge members, and also people on social media too that like to pitch in and give something constructive, and if you give if you give comments that things like, dude, you're totally wrong, everything is wrong about you and all the rest of it, well, then I'll just delete those sort of things. But if it's something that's got a bit of constructiveness to it, then I really appreciate it, because it's important, because we're just sharing ideas, really, you know. And I'm okay with the Elliott. Got the trading levels, and you know, I've been doing it a while, so I have some, you know, reasonable sort of input into the situation. So let's just go to this 2-day chart here, which is a little bit different. So in this case, we're still talking about the 22 low, and in this case looking at 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2, and then 1 2 3 4, and 1 2 3 4 5 up here. So now we're coming into a fourth wave here, so we need to be a little bit mindful of this fourth wave here, and I'm going to explain this with the NASDAQ. Okay, so one of the things that we can look for to, like, well, Pete, is it going to drop into wave 4, or is it going to go up, you know? So one of the things that I always look for is, I always talk about Wednesday and Thursday being the swing days and Thursday being the bearish day. And if it is the bearish day, I like to see it sort of shore up in the afternoon. And when you say the afternoon, Pete, do you mean the morning or the afternoon? Well, it could be either, really, you know. I always hope that it's earlier, because then we can get our first little impulse wave to the upside, and we can work that impulse wave in terms of looking for, you know, getting the first, you know, position in the market, you know, and then follow through that, build on that through the Friday. So if Friday closes strong, then Monday is going to follow through on that. But if Friday does not close strong, well, then you can expect, you know, further weakness to come in, and this would be the weakness coming in into this fourth wave being here. That's the other bearish point for this. Somebody did mention we could put minor wave 3 up here, but I couldn't sort of figure out how we'd do that unless you go 1, 2, and 3. So like 1 here and 2 here, and all of this is 3 up here. But it kind of puts me behind the market a little bit too much in terms of stock in that case. But yeah, so so that's the S&P, and this is just the SPY here. So we can look at it like this as well, just be doing the same sort of thing. So we're just working through that correction. And so we come over to the NASDAQ, and this is the daily chart. So in this case, we'll talk about this wave 4 here a little bit further. And so in this case, we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, because it was a little bit different here than it was, and here, you know, regarding well, this point here for the S&P had to take on a few banking issues at that point. Okay, so what I would like to sort of say here for the NASDAQ is that we're obviously at 20,000, and obviously it's a big number. I call it major trading level 2. And then when we're working with this particular number here, then I always talk about group 1 and group 2. That's the swing range for this number. And even if this was any other number here as well, like 23, there would be a small group 1 for that, a group 2 for that as well. So it's good to kind of get your head around that a little bit. And the other thing here is that we've just arrived at this level here. So this would be the beginnings of a classic trading levels pattern. So we've just arrived here. So we could look for wave 4 and then wave 5 and then an ABC pattern. Then it's basically this is how it migrates from being resistance to support over here. And all of this is important here. Now, if we were in a parabolic move as such, then it may not pull back below the level. So it's either that pattern or this pattern, and the final pattern would be this one here, where it doesn't stop at the level and just goes straight through, but the distance up is normally the distance below, and then it kind of weaves in, gets pulled into this particular price point here as a balance point within the correction. So in that case, we could view this as the arrival here and some sort of reaction, and then the first high above the level, then an ABC pattern, and then further up at that point. So that's kind of what I'm sort of thinking here, you know. And the other thing that I just wanted to sort of mention a little bit as well, you see how these wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and the extensions in the third wave here, and the same with the S&P in its own way. That means that these threes, these fours and fives here, they could be quite small as well. Now they don't have to be this small, but they will be small in compared to this longer term trend here. And that's why I think that it will keep it within this particular number here, above and below here. And yeah, we know from tech stocks too that they've had a good run, and they will be a little bit sort of toppy. They're all a little bit different. Tesla's been in a correction for a long time, and you know, so it will be a little bit different. So they're not all the same as such. But there's a good few reasons that we could be sort of locked into Group 2 and Group 1 here at this particular level here for a while. Rightio, so we need to go in and talk about this. I'm just trying to think of what. Okay, so I wanted to talk about two patterns here. So first of all, we could talk about this being an A and a B and a C here for wave 4, because it's quite a nice looking correction really, with wave A here and wave B, and then wave C here of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and that counts as 5 down here as well. So it is a nice ABC pattern, but as I was mentioning, this is why I had these other drawings here, but basically I was talking this morning in the stocks video that there's two things that we need to understand here. Is that first of all, this could be a nice ABC pattern here, but what happens if this is just going to get bigger here? So there's a good case for that, and that means it would get 5 waves down here. This would be 1, 2, and then 5 waves for the third wave, the fourth wave, and the fifth wave here. So if Friday or thereabouts, or Monday or Friday, we end up seeing another low coming in place down here, that means we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And if we get 5 waves here, then we're going to get 3 up here, and we're going to get another 5 waves. So we don't really want to see this low get taken out here. Okay, so that really needs to stay in place. The other thing too is that, well, we're going up here for a wave 4. How do I work out if that's a wave 4 here, do you know? So that means that if I take the top here and the low here, that will give me the 38.2%, so which is where the other wave 4 is. So I could say the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree of the 38.2%, and we should really use the 20,000 of course as well. So if we're going to get this a little bit different over here as 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 3, 4, 5 over here like this here, and that will go over to here, this wave 4 here, that means that we could say, okay, well, in both cases, we should see a rally here anyway. We just don't know if it's going to be a wave 4 going up here or wave 1 going up here. But if this 20,000 became the support with a smaller version of this here, a smaller version of this little pattern here, then we could go to the long side. So that would mean that if the market, obviously the market's going to, you know, if it moves up here, let's say, then it's going to react from, you know, this previous high, or the 20,000. And then if it's going to be bullish, it's going to give us a move to the upside, right? And then it'll drop back again anyway, and it'll leave that top exposed at that point. So with that exposed top there, we can go long. Of course, you can improve that situation by going for the second high here, and you may be even able to count 5 waves up here. You know, you may be, if I could just bring this over to here, you may even just count, instead of 3 waves to the upside, you might be able to count 5 waves, you know, before the 20,000, and then go long on the B wave here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC pattern, and then go up, you know, and then go long again on here. So building a position here, getting a very small position here, and putting a stop under here, and then building a bigger position over here on that. So yeah, I'm just going to put Humpty Dumpty back together again over here, and we're going to look at this in a little bit more detail here. So I can put this over here, because I've got this on the, I just wanted to talk about both patterns here, you know, because we've got to kind of see what, you know, what what gets delivered. So I'm going to go from the 20k to the 1k, I think it is. Might have to check on that. So this is the bigger picture here. So I'll just put that as 5k enough. Yeah. So looking at the top here is wave 3, and looking at the bigger picture here. So this will be 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. So this can be you know, corrective as an ABC here, but if it finds support on the 20,000 at on this run here, if it gets support, then you know that you can continue to the upside at that point. So we just got to see what this is here, you know, that's the only thing. I mean, for stops, I normally go, it doesn't really matter where you are in the structure. If you take the top and the bottom here and find out where the 61.8% is, and then gravitate over to the closest largest number, you can see that 19,650 here, that's actually the lower end of group 2. So group 2 will be, if we're going 500, the next number is 800, and then when we talk about 8, we talk about group 2, which is the 50 here and the 720 here. 720, good enough. So that's group 2 here. So we can see the 61.8% is under group 2 here. So if I had to put a stop in the market here, I would want to see the first low below the level here, and then I would put my stop here for the first position. So if I normally trade 3 contracts, well then I'd buy 1 contract and put the stop here. You know, you kind of exposed a little bit here, and I'd probably, you know, I think when we did the stocks video, we were a bit lower here, but now you got to wait. You got to wait for this little structure up here to complete and give yourselves an ABC pattern here, and then you can build up at that point, and then look to build on top of the 20 at that point, you know. Okay, enough waffling. So yeah, the same with the triple Q here. Obviously, it's reacted from the 500 here naturally, 5 being the second strongest number, and quite frankly, it can go up from here, or it can give us this same thing here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. And if that's the case, then we're going to get an ABC trying to retest that and then give us another move to the downside at that point. So we've got to see if Friday closes strong and firm, then that will be good. Still obviously under a lot of pressure here, but yeah, let's just see how Friday opens and closes. And this brings us over to the Russell. So this is quite, you know, the Russell needs to go up from here, you know. So we've been looking at this as, well, let's go back here. We've got wave 1 here, a bit hard to see, wave 2, wave 1 and 2. And then we're going up into this wave 3 here now. So we'll keep these positions. We're looking for a wave 4. So we've got the A, the B, and the C here. It looks like there could be one more little low coming in here, I think. It looks like all of that is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There could be one more little low in here, but we'll just keep the stop out of the way at this point. This move to the upside is not complete. So in a way, it's telling us that the S&P and the NASDAQ can go up from here, you know. But this really hasn't been, you know, this is inflation driven, and it's not, you know, it's been out of whack with the other markets. So yeah, but anyway, we just hold long there. That's all good. And then we come over to the European markets, and we've got the DAX here. And with the DAX, we've got wave 3 up here, and we're looking for wave 4. Now, we can put wave 4 over here. It's at the 38.2% retracement level, so it's good. It could be there at that point, or we'll need to drag it over here and look at this as some sort of A, B, and C, or WXY over here for this. And as I mentioned with the stock 50, if we look at this pattern across here, then the stock 50 has come further down here. So we can look at the stock 50 here, and we can see that, you know, we could also put it as a wave 4 here. See, it's come much further down here. We talked about that yesterday, and now it's come down even further. So this is a typical wave 4. It's basically complicated. We could look at it as a WXY. You could look at it as an A, B, C, D, and E wave over here, and then go up. it's getting ready to go up. I just don't know if it's complete at this point. There might be, this might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 4, 5. So there may be some sort of corrective move here, and then another move down here. Because we haven't taken out this low over here, that means that you know, I can't go on that 5 waves, and everything's been working in lots of 3s. So it's probably, even if it is a triangle, it'll still be an A and a B and a C wave here. So I think this is still what we need to see here before this finishes. And this is kind of interesting because it kind of, you know, how long this takes could, you know, if we put this here as a wave 4 here, then it will kind of line up with the S&P and the NASDAQ working its wave 4, and this is not finished yet. So it's kind of a good thing in a way, but it's definitely not ready. This is a bit, even though this is really complicated, it's a little bit easier to take on board than the DAX at the moment, because the DAX got half a silly chance to be bullish. So we can look at this in some weird way as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we could go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. But as we know, those 1s and 2s don't normally pan out. Sometimes they do, and they're great. But in this case here, there's not a lot going for it in that case. So there's a, you know, we could view it as some sort of impulse wave up here, but it's likely that we could come down here further in some sort of move up and then down again in line with the you know, with the US markets getting a little bit bigger, and then that would have, you know, this wave 4 here. If it got bigger on the NASDAQ, it would be bigger here as well. So this is very sort of complicated here. It doesn't need to go down too far because the 38.2% retracement levels here, but it's messy. Let's go to the so on this is just the intraday chart here, and this is where I've got it as being bullish. So I'll just better get some more data in here. So this is a low, the current low, and we've talked about it being over here to this wave 4 over here. So I can view this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. And look, it may be true, you know, but it's pretty messy, and that means that it can be corrective. And you know, can it fit into the triangle pattern? No, it can't really fit into the triangle pattern. It'll have to be a W sort of X and a Y over here. But yeah, look, as I mentioned yesterday, is that we're looking for a bit of a move up here into this box. Didn't really get to the box, but headed in the right direction and then came down. So look, we could have a low in here as an A and a B and a C for this wave 2 here, and then moving straight up from that point. But look, I don't have enough, you know, if I know something, then I know it and I can act on it. If I don't know something, then I can't act off it. And this is more of a case that I don't know. You know, I can see some variations, but I don't know. If I had a nice setup on the level here with the classic trading levels pattern, then, you know, absolutely we'll be, you know, I'll put the trading hat on and we'll go for it at that point. So this can be the low here. We could just go straight up from here. But I can't say that for sure. Do you know what I mean? And I've still got this wave 4 here lingering, which is a pretty good case when we look at this stock 50 here, you know. And that kind of brings us over to, so I can't really help here, you know. I feel like we could push up, but I don't know if that's going to get us out of trouble. You know, I don't know if we get some sort of dog leg. We could end up with this, and then this here, and then this. It'd be, you know, it just gets weirder, you know. So we just got to be careful with this. It's just not there. There's other markets, you know. Go to trade Bitcoin or something, you know, that's got a nice pattern to the upside, you know. And we come over to the FTSE as well. So the FTSE here, just getting in the whole picture, we've got this wave 3 up here. We could put wave 4 here on this particular low here and go an A, B, C pattern here. And then we've got the same situation here. We can look at this as wave 1 with an A, B, C for wave 2, and then 1 and 2, and then we've got 5 waves up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could look at it like that. We could sort of move up from here, but it's, you know, it's really not there as well. This could be an A, B, C, D, and E over here, and then, you know, come down to the B. This can, you know, as a W, X, Y over here, and then come down to this wave 4 here, you know. So it's you know, it's just messy at this point. I'm sorry to say, I can't really give you a nice clean count on it at this point. I don't really have a long trade here, put it that way, you know, and I don't want to get into the guessing game. I can see that you know, we're definitely in a wave 4. We could have a low in place here, but it's a very slim chance. It's more likely that we're over here. But I would need to see, you know, I need to see a strong, we could still even have another little low here actually. But the thing is that I need an impulse wave, you know, and this move here, as you know, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. But it's more likely to be an A, B, and a C up here, you know. That's the gist of the matter, really. It's just, I just don't have a strong enough case to do anything to call a low in here for this, you know. And I haven't got time to look at the banks either for this at the moment. So I'll just leave this here. It's just not there. You're just better off trading something else at the moment. And then we come over to the Aussie market, and this is the daily chart here. And we've been considering wave 4 being over here with 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then it popped off nicely here. So in this case it really worked quite well, but I could also say that we could put wave 4 over here as well and then shorten this journey up here for this. Whichever way we decide to look at this, there is still further upside here. So this is just a little it depends on how you want to sort of label these here as well. On the intraday chart, we've got this here as a wave 3 here on the intraday, and a little wave 4 here. But on this chart here, I could easily put in this top here as a wave 3 here and a wave 4 pulling back here, because I can see in here we've got this 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here. So I could put this wave 3 in here, you know. So I can see it in a couple of different ways, but it won't make much difference, because even if it's this 3, we've got to go up to this 3 and 4, and then we've got to come back to here. And if it's this one, it'll still be the same. So it'll give us the same pattern. It'll basically be this, and then this here. So it needs to establish itself on this, you know, on this 8,000 here. So when we view this in terms of the intraday chart here, we're looking at it as wave 4. It could have been that we had wave 4 here, or we've had this as a B wave up here, and then this C wave to the downside. This is the 38.2%. So we could have a low in here. It's not really showing me a good pattern here for this. They could certainly be, just looking at this here, it looks like we could get 3, 4, 5. So that means that we could move back to this point. I mean, obviously if we get on the 8,000, that would be the safe trade at this point, you know. It could be that here. So if you do go long in here, I just keep the stop under this number here, because it doesn't have far to go down. We'll just go in here. This is 1,000 ticks. Let's just go and have a closer look at this, shall we? We need a bit more. Well, that should do the trick, but we'll just go to here. So this is this here. Let's just play it out here. We've got time. Yeah, we've got time. B and C here for that. So we know that this is actually on the And then we need a 1 and 2 here somewhere. And we need we'll just try to get a count on this somewhere, 4 and 5. Let's just see where we are at the moment. And then we've got, we'll just use the levels as well. We've got 8,000 there. We've got a small group 2 in here, 3, we've got 50, 50, 50, the midpoint, and then up 5 and then 8. And then if we're talking about 8, we can talk about 60, 60, 65, and 72 in here. So that's all of group 2 there, so that will be important. And then this one here will be major level. So okay, that paints that picture there. Let's just go back and have a little look at this. How can this be counted? We could look at this as well. It's got to be one. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could go to there. So we could go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. 3, 4, 5. We can go to here. That would be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5. We could go to there. Just leave it with me for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could call a low in here. I'm just going to go back and check that top there. The other side to the coin here would be, which other way could we look at it? So if I looked at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2. So what about if I looked at that as 1 and 2? Just that would leave this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 and 2. So yeah, so I can see 2 ways to count it. So that would mean that would be the 38.2% here. So it could give us a little A wave here, B wave here, and a C wave to this point here, and then come down for one more low, which wouldn't be too much actually at that point. So they're the 2 things that's there. So yeah, there could be another low, but if there was another low, that's going to leave Friday as a bit of a soft spot, which is not good. We want Friday to be positive, you know. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's trying to get into group 2 here, you know. If it can get that, then at that 65 number, then it will move up. So I guess what you could do, the safe trade would be to look for the first high above the level here and get a small position here, and then build another bigger position on this one over here once you see like a first high here, you know, that type of thing. This is 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's here we've got, I'll call it 1 and 2 here, but it could be an A and a B as well. So I just can't let that go just yet. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 to there. So, and I can't call that wave. I could call it wave C. So I'm just breaking it down how I normally work things. But it would be like this would have to be 1 and 2 here, and then this here could be 1 and 2 here. So building that way to the upside. I don't think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't think that's the case because we get overlap here and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's actually bullish. It's giving me the bullish sort of vibe. You could get a small position once you see that the market is sitting in group 2 here in your own way. You could get the smallest position you can here, and then keep the stop under this one here, because that shouldn't be breached at that point. That's where the stop can go. Then you can build up from that point. I just want to have a look at the banks actually. Let me just have a look at Combank. Okay, so yesterday we were looking for a little wave 4 to come back, so that's still sort of in play. So I think it could open, oh, it's still at the wave 4 of the previous degree in here. That will be a little wave 4 in here. So look, the banks have still got to go higher. They just probably got to retest the 130 a little bit more, you know. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I was looking at, yeah, this is WBC here. This is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and the third. So even though this will pull back here, this has still got to go up higher. So the banks are still trending higher. You just need to be, Combank has got, I think it goes ex-div on the 21st, which is probably Monday, isn't it? 2021, or I don't know, not quite, that's Sunday, I think. Anyway, you have to double check on that. But alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.